Hey YouTube, what's going on? Night before Week 1 kickoff of the NFL 2021 season. We've done a lot of predictions. We've done draft reviews leading up, and now that we've got everything locked and loaded, I want to start getting into the week-by-week picks. And so, without further ado, let's just get to it as we do a rundown of this week's games and see where we're going to land. So, first up is the Seahawks at the Colts. I talked a little bit about this in my division predictions. I'm very curious to see what the Colts are with Carson Wentz. I don't trust him until I've seen him be consistent. The Seahawks are at full power. I like the Seahawks to go into Indy and get that win. Next up, Eagles at the Falcons. The Eagles are a complete rebuild. I don't know what to expect from Jalen Hurts. I'm very intrigued to see the young wide receivers, Devontae Smith and Jalen Reagor, but I just think it's too much. I think they go in there, and I think Atlanta takes them out. Falcons win Week 1 matchup. Steelers at the Bills. It was encouraging to see T.J. Watt finally back at practice. I have no idea, Steelers fans, what the holdup is with your organization. Pay T.J. Watt already. But I don't know what Ben Roethlisberger is. We saw a fast decline with Peyton Manning, and I saw a lot of that in Ben Roethlisberger last year. I've heard the whole he's in best shape of his life. I don't buy it. I think the Steelers' offense is going to struggle mightily this year despite all that young weaponry that's around him. That offensive line is a complete rebuild. I like the Bills to win and actually win fairly easily. Vikings at Bengals. I think this is going to be a tighter game than people think. I do like the Vikings a lot this year, but I like to see the Bengals and what they're going to do. Burrow's back. They've made some additional enhancements to their offensive line. I want to see Jamar Chase continue to grow up. I think the Bengals are still a little too early to start growing for this season, so I think the Vikings will capitalize on it being early in the year. But I think the Bengals are going to give them a game, but the Vikings win Week 1 in Cincinnati. Jaguars at Texans. Is anybody even going to watch this game? Maybe because we want to see Trevor Lawrence, right? But Jacksonville's roster is not very good, and the Texans are even worse. Texans are going to start Tyrod Taylor. Obviously, Deshaun Watson's a healthy scratch. Going to be like that till he gets traded. Jaguars win that game. They probably win fairly easily. Next game, a really good matchup. The Chargers at the Redskins. The Washington football team. Intriguing matchup. Two teams I like. Two really tough football teams. I think this will be a great game. It'll be interesting to see how Justin Herbert and that new offensive line does against that Redskins front four. Excuse me, I said it again. But I think Washington gets the Week 1 win in a tough game against the Chargers. Next game, 49ers at Lions. I mean, this will be an easy one. The Lions, we're going to try to figure out what they even are. What's their identity, right? And what does Jared Goff even throw into? I don't even know who any of his wide receivers are. 49ers are fully healthy. They're a full go. 49ers get an easy win in Detroit. Jets at Panthers. This is the intriguing one, right? Sam Darnold against his old team to kick things off. The Jets, I feel for you, Jets fans, just snake bit with injuries already going into the year, losing Carl Lawson and several others. I think they go in and Carolina's going to handle them pretty easily in Week 1. Cardinals at Titans. I like this one too. I think the Cardinals are going to be an exciting team, guys. I really do. They're going to be fun to watch all year. They got a lot of boomer bust players. I think what ultimately going to cost them is I just don't think they're going to be a very physical team. I mean, J.J. Watt is not the same player that he was, still a great player. What's Chandler Jones going to be? He wasn't really that great last year before he was injured. What's he going to be coming back from the torn bicep? And we all know what the Titans are, right? They like to line it up and just smash Derrick Henry right at the defense. I think going into Nashville, I think it's too much. I think the Titans win that matchup. Next game, Browns at the Chiefs. I'm so excited for this matchup. I want to see how that Chiefs revamped offensive line does. I loved the Orlando Brown trade. I want to see how some of these younger guys like Creed Humphrey at the center position is going to do against this defensive line of Cleveland. Of course, Cleveland's weakness is that defensive tackle position, but with Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, I actually am going to pick the upset here. I think the Browns in a close one are going to upset and stun the Chiefs at Arrowhead. Dolphins at the Patriots. I think this will be an interesting one, right? What are we going to get with Miami, and what is this revamped Patriots team with all that money in free agency and Mac Jones at quarterback? What are we going to get? The last two Alabama quarterbacks going on against each other. I think Brian Flores is going to walk in there and get the win, but I'm very intrigued to see what we see from both teams here. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a real tone setter as we look forward in the AFC East. Broncos at the Giants. I think Saquon Barkley's a go. It sounds like he's going to play, but is he fully back? And I tell you what, that Giants offensive line still, with all that money in free agency they've spent over the years, the draft picks they put into it, and they're still terrible. What are we going to get out of Daniel Jones? Is Barkley fully a go? I think the Broncos are going to go in there and actually handle the Giants pretty easily. This Broncos defense, I think, is going to be one of the best in the league. And with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback, I'm not a big Teddy Bridgewater fan, but he's got so many weapons around him, and the Broncos are fully loaded. I think they win and win easily in New York. Packers at Saints. This is going to be an interesting matchup, right? Again, that Packers offensive line, what are you going to get? How much time is Rodgers going to have? Are they going to open holes for Aaron Jones? Remember, that Saints defensive line is not a joke. The Saints can still play defense, right? They've got some holes in the secondary, but they have a number one shutdown corner as well. It's going to be a great matchup with Devontae Adams. What is Jameis Winston going to give the Saints on offense? That's going to be an interesting story. I think the Packers are going to win. I think it's going to be a closer game than people think. Bears at Rams on Sunday night. The Bears, Andy Dalton. Love the Bears defense, and I think it'll be a close matchup as we try to figure out what Matthew Stafford is going to give the Rams. I know there's a lot of people excited. I really like Matthew Stafford, but I got to take a wait-and-see approach, see what he's going to do in this offense. Again, I want to know what's going to happen now that Cam Akers is hurt. I mean, that is going to be a huge impact, a lot bigger impact than I think most people think. I think they're going to struggle early against this Bears defense. Ultimately, I think they get the win, but it's going to be a tough fight. I think if Justin Fields was on the field for the Bears, this might actually be a closer game, and the Bears might actually win. But since they're going to go with Dalton, Rams get the victory. Ravens at Raiders. I think the Ravens run away with this thing. I don't even think it matters. The biggest thing that I worry about the Ravens long term is their edge rusher situation. I don't think they've got really great edge rushers. That defense is rock solid otherwise, but pressure makes your pipes burst, and ultimately I think that's what they're going to need to get past Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But against this Raiders team that has been stripped largely at the foundation, that offensive line's been completely overhauled. Don't really know yet what they've got on defense. I like the Ravens to win and actually win pretty well. And then last, this is going to be one of my favorite matchups, is tomorrow night, Bucs and Cowboys, right? I heard an analogy earlier. I can't take credit for this one, but I thought it was a perfect fit for this game. Is two big brands, but it's going to be a similar outcome to what we saw this past weekend in college football with Alabama and Miami. I mean, this isn't even a comparison when you talk about these two organizations. The Buccaneers, defending Super Bowl champions, return all 22 starters and many in the two deep as well. It's unprecedented, the roster that they have. Their entire draft was for depth, and they got good players in the draft. Dallas is still reeling. Is that offensive line healthy? We know Zach Martin is out because of COVID protocols. He's their best offensive lineman. What are we going to get from Dak Prescott, who largely hasn't practiced, didn't play in the preseason? Is Ezekiel Elliott actually for real? And has this defense made any strides whatsoever? Okay, all of that versus Tom Brady and the Bucs at home in Tampa. I like the Bucs to win and win big for Week 1. So would love your comments, guys. Would love to get your feedback. We'll see how I did as we look to come out of Week 1 and look towards Week 2. We'll do predictions again as well as analytics from Week 1 highlights. We'll talk to you soon all. Enjoy.